seeking asylum due to individualized religious persecution. Um, Everything that they did, they tried to do secretly. Everything that they said, they tried to communicate secretly. And they would use multiple people, many people, to persecute me, and they would orchestrate things. From seeking asylum due to individualized religious persecution in America. In 2022, I had started memorizing the Bible, and since then I've been memorizing passages from the Bible. At this point, I can quote the Bible from memory for about 2.5 hours every morning. October 2023, I started having issues with my phone. Problems with the memory was and I think it was on October the 23rd, 2023. I started receiving texts threatening me due to my religion. Again, everything they did, they tried to do secretly. Everything they tried to say, they were trying to communicate secretly. So they intended to look like inspirational texts, but they were texts threatening me. And at the time, I thought that I had two options. I thought that I could either go to the police, but I didn't want to go to the police because I was afraid that might lead to an arrest. I didn't want to be in jail. And I thought that the other option would be to show the public what I can do. Show the public that I can quote the Bible from memory, but not very good public speaker. I'm nervous in front of crowds. So I thought the third option would be where they had texted me from an unknown number, and I just got a new cell phone because the issues with my phone, and I just bought a new cell phone, and with it, I got a new phone number, and I hadn't really given my phone number out to anyone, and since I was receiving text from an unknown number, and somehow they had my phone number without me giving it to them, I knew that whoever they were, they must have had power, resources, and money. But at first, so I thought that the other option would be to confront them. So I responded to the number that the texts were coming from and gave them the location where I would be at. And I went there after work, and no one showed up. I was saying, like, if you want me, take me. You know, don't hurt my family or whatever. I didn't tell my family at the time. I've had a history of drug use and had different moments throughout my life, and I thought that if I didn't tell my family that I was getting death threats and I disappeared, then they might think that a drug deal had just gone bad or something like that. But I thought that if I told my family about the threatening texts and I went missing or something, then they might start asking questions and they might get hurt also. So I didn't tell my family about the death threats. But this was going on right before Halloween. And on Halloween 2023, I at the time was living with my two grandparents. My brother and I were living with their two grandparents. And my kids were living with their mom. And on Halloween 2023, they were scheduled to spend Halloween with me. Spend Halloween with me and spend the night with me. So I hadn't told my family, and I wanted to give whoever these people were one more chance before my kids arrived. If you're going to hurt me, and not me and my kids. So before my kids arrived to spend Halloween with me, I started walking down the road. I may have texted the number and told them I was walking down the road. But I started walking down the road. I believe that wherever these people were, they had resources, power, money, and that they might have known where I was at. I was walking down the road alone. So, and as I was walking, I got a call from my grandpa saying that my grandmother had fallen. So I went back to the house and I helped her up. And as I was cleaning up the mess, I got the text, maybe more than one, about interior decorating. And again, everything they did, they tried to do secretly. Everything that they would say, they were trying to communicate secretly. And they were texts about interior decorating, but what they were trying to say is, we've seen inside your house. And I think it was as I was dropping my kids off with their mom after Halloween, I met up with her in a grocery store parking lot. And as I was dropping off kids off at their mom. There's a vehicle sitting there. I don't remember how they made it known to me that they were a part of this group of people, but somehow or another there was a vehicle sitting there making it known to me that they work for these people to send a message. We've seen your kids, threatening my kids. And as I was back at work after Halloween, there had been a couple of new people who had started working where I was at recently. And as I was back at work after Halloween, one of the new people at work was sweeping the floor. And as he walked past me, he asked if I had a good Halloween with my kids. And I said, yeah. And after I responded, I realized that I hadn't told them that I had kids. So they were threatening my kids. And the threatening texts, they continued for a while, a few weeks, a month or so. And I was also receiving texts from unknown numbers, acting as if they had the wrong number, and then they would start the conversation with me, claiming to be women and being really like friendly, or you might say like flirty. They were intended to be offers for girls for sex. Eventually, the threatening texts stopped, but they were consistently sending a message that there was a religious group who wanted to harm me. And I thought at the time that there was a religious group who wanted to harm me. And I knew that whoever these people were, they must have had power and resources because I just got a new cell phone with it and got a new phone number, and I hadn't really given my phone number out to anyone. And then I was receiving texts from an unknown number from people who had somehow had my phone number, a brand new phone number. But I thought at the time that there was a religious group who wanted to harm me, that the government was trying to protect me, and that they were trying to come to a solution and discredit me. They started telling me, again, everything that they did, they tried to do secretly, and everything that they said, they would try to communicate secretly, but they started making it known to me, different people in my life, different people who I knew, telling me that they were working for this group of people. I would have unknown people contacting me. They would act as if they had the wrong number, and then they would start up a conversation with me most of the time, if not every time, claiming to be women. It would be, like really friendly, maybe you might say flirty. They would talk about money, and they would say that they were talking about investing. And so they would talk about money and what seemed to be offers for sex, what seemed to be offers for money, sex. And in December 2023, they had a former girlfriend of mine who was working for them, offering to be with me. They started pushing me to be in a relationship with a girl. So they were contacting me, communicating messages, trying to push me into being in a relationship with a girl. And one by one, friends and people around me started making it known to me that they were also working with this group of people. And when they would do so, they would like praise me and say, like, I know who you are, Mitchell, I know what you can do. Because at that point, up until that point, I had memorizing the Bible. I had always done it in private. I've never really done it in public, just done it in private around family, mainly. And there were days when they were kind and like praising me, and there were days when they were persecuting me. And I thought at the time that there were days when they were praising me, and there were days when they were persecuting me. I thought at the time that some of the people in this group were saying, Mitchell, practice your religion, don't give up. And that there were other people in this group who were saying, Mitchell, we don't need to get hurt, get a girlfriend, settle down, give up. And in April 2024, my grandma died. And around that time, I was also receiving messages. They were supposedly, they were trying to make me believe that it was someone, the messages were from someone who I had met in California who was also working for this group of people. And do I believe that that person was working for these people? Yeah, I do believe. Whether or not the texts or the messages were actually coming from that individual or not, I'm not sure, but I do believe that person was working for them. They would message my phone, and so like they would put different advertisements and videos on my cell phone to try to communicate different messages and to just aggravate me, annoy me, maybe. Around that time, my grandpa's health was deteriorating. and I was taking him to his doctor's appointments. And even people at his doctor's appointments were making it known to me that they were working with this group of people. And in June 2024, my grandpa died also. And at that point, I would say the majority of the people around me, family, friends, co-workers, people who I knew had made it known to me that they were working for this group of people. There were still certain people who I believed at the time weren't working for them. But right after my grandpa died, the rest of my family had made it known to me that they were working for this group of people. So every adult in my family at that point had made it known to me that they were working for these people. And it had been my brother and I living in the house with my two grandparents, and after they had passed away, there was only two of us to pay the bills. And after my grandfather's death, I was initially told that the house payments, the mortgage payments, would be put on hold until a decision was made in the probate court. And then later on, I was told that the payments had not been put on hold, and that we owed quite a bit of money to the bank, and they were threatening to take the house. Around that time, supposedly, also my brother had been having trouble with alcoholism, and one day he was messaging me talking about suicide. So I called 911. The ambulance came and the police came, and my brother had a gun in his bedroom, and the police officer was insisting that I take the gun and lock it up. And again, everything that they said, they tried to communicate secretly. So to the public, to anyone who didn't know about the situation, it was intended to be like, I don't care for your brother, take the gun. We'll always